You know, the fastest way to stay broke forever is to keep talking and taking financial advice from people who panic when their card declines at a gas station. And most people think, being broke comes from low income, bad luck, or bad economy. But one of the biggest reasons people never build wealth is because the people around them, they quietly train them to stay average. Your friends, they influence how you think, how you spend, how you react to risk, and what you believe is normal. If everyone around you lives paycheck to paycheck, eventually your brain starts treating financial struggles like it's just part of life. And the scary part is your friends usually aren't trying to destroy your future. And most of the time they genuinely like you, but people protect their comfort zone. And the second you start growing financially, you accidentally become a threat to everyone who stayed the same. And that's why some friendships feel supportive until you start making progress. And suddenly the jokes, they change, the energy changes, and every smart decision you make gets treated like a personality flaw. You stop going out every weekend and they call you cheap. You start working extra hours and they say you're obsessed with money, and you invest instead of buying random junk and they act like you think you're better than everybody. And the problem isn't really your money, okay? The problem is your discipline reminds them of the discipline they don't have. And most friends groups, they normalize the terrible financial behavior because short term fun feels better than long term planning. Thinking about how many people spend money emotionally. They're stressed, so they order food. They're bored, so they shop online. They're insecure, so they buy status symbols they can't afford. Then, when someone is in the group actually starts being responsible, it ruins the illusion that everybody's helpless. And suddenly there's proof saying no is possible. That's uncomfortable for people who built their identity around excuses, broke environments, create broke habits. If your friends constantly pressure you to spend money, eventually you stop questioning it. Every weekend becomes expensive. Every event turns into a competition, and somebody's buying new shoes. Somebody upgrades their phone. Somebody wants bottle service. Somebody wants a luxury car with a payment that looks like rent. And because humans naturally copy the people around them, you start doing things you never even wanted just to stay connected to the group. People go broke trying to maintain lifestyles they don't even enjoy because, well, they're terrified of being left out. And social pressure is one of the strongest forces in the world. Most people would rather silently destroy their future than feel excluded for one night. And that's why so many people making decent money still have nothing saved. Their environment trains them to consume everything they earn immediately. Another reason your friends keep you broke is because broke mindset spreads like a virus. Listen carefully to the conversations around financially struggling people. Everything sounds impossible. Starting a business is too risky. Investing is gambling. Rich people are evil. Success only happens through luck. Nobody can get ahead anymore. Every opportunity gets dismissed before it's even explored. And if you hear that mindset long enough, you eventually start believing it too. Your standards shrink to match the room you're in. People rarely rise above the expectations of their environment. And if everyone around you thinks success is unrealistic, you slowly stop trying. And that's why ambitious people often feel lonely. Growth usually requires separating from people who are addicted to excuses. Another brutal truth is that some friends subconsciously need you to stay broke because it keeps the relationship balanced. If everybody in the group struggles equally, nobody feels insecure. But once one person starts leveling up financially, it exposes the difference in work ethic, habits, discipline, and ambition. This creates tension. And suddenly people compare themselves to you instead of improving their own lives. And some people try to pull you backwards so they can feel comfortable again. I had a relationship like that. I had to get rid of her. This is why you'll sometimes get more support from strangers online than from people you've known for years. Strangers judge you based on possibility. Old friends judge you based on familiarity. And they want the version of you that they're used to. And if you evolve too much, it forces them to confront the fact that they stayed the same. And one of the biggest traps in toxic friendship is the celebration of culture around bad decisions. Think about it. People get, cheered on for buying expensive things they can't afford. People clap for something financially financing a luxury car at insane interest rates. People celebrate huge shopping sprees, vacations on credit cards, and reckless spending because it looks exciting in the moment. But almost nobody celebrates quiet financial discipline. Nobody throws a party because you built an emergency fund. Nobody gets excited because you invested consistently for 3 years. Nobody praises you for avoiding debt. The habits that actually create wealth are boring, repetitive, and invisible. And because they aren't flashy, immature friends groups often mock them instead of respecting them. Social media makes this even worse because people now compete financially with people they never even met. Your friends see influencers pretending to live perfect lives, and then they try to intimidate or imitate it without having the income to support it. And suddenly, everybody wants designer brands, luxury apartments, and expensive dinners and constant vacations just to create content. Half the economy runs on people trying to impress other people who are also broke. And the craziest part is most wealthy people don't even behave like that. Truly wealthy people usually care more about ownership than appearance. They buy assets, not applause, but financially insecure people often prioritize looking rich over becoming rich. Your environment determines which values become normal to you. Your circle values attention more than stability. Eventually you start sacrificing your future for temporary validation too. There's a dangerous loyalty trap that keeps people stuck financially for years. You know, a lot of people think just distancing themselves from toxic financial environments means they're betraying their friends, but protecting your future isn't betrayal. If your friends constantly pressure you into bad decisions, disrespect your goals, and mock your ambition and drain your finances, staying loyal to dysfunction isn't noble. It's self destruction. And real friends don't need you to sabotage your future to prove you care about them. Real friends respect boundaries. Real friends understand when you can't waste money every weekend. Real friends encourage growth instead of resenting it. And real friends don't secretly enjoy watching you stay stuck because it makes them feel better about themselves. One of the hardest lessons successful people learn is the access to you matters. Every person around you either increases your focus or destroys it. Some people bring ideas, discipline, and opportunity and motivation into your life. Others people bring drama, distraction, laziness, and financial chaos. If you spend enough time around financially irresponsible people, eventually you start operating emotionally instead of strategically. Your spending becomes reactive, your priorities become blurry, and your long term goals slowly disappear under constant short term distractions. Wealth building requires consistency. Consistency because almost in almost impossible when your environment constantly pulls you away from your priorities. This doesn't mean you need to cut off everybody who isn't rich. That's not the point. Money itself isn't the issue. The issue is mindset, habits, and behavior. Some people make very little money but still think intelligently about growth, discipline, and opportunities. And some people, they make six figures while staying financially reckless because they spend everything trying to maintain appearance. And what matters is whether the people around you push you towards growth or towards comfort. Do your friends inspire you to improve your life? Or do they normalize the excuses? Do they support your goals or do they guilt trip you every time you say no to say something irresponsible? Pay attention, though, to how people react when you start changing. That reaction tells you everything. The truth is, your future is heavily connected to the standards you tolerate. If you tolerate constant negativity, constant pressure, constant laziness, and constant excuses, eventually those behaviors become your identity too. Humans being adapt to their environment faster than that they realize, and that's why changing your circle can completely change your life. And sometimes the biggest financial breakthrough isn't a new job or lucky opportunities. Sometimes it's simple, spending less time around people who keep normalizing self sabotage. You don't need friends who are millionaires. You need friends who respect discipline, friends who think long term, friends who want to build instead of just consume, friends who challenge you to improve instead of dragging you backwards every time you gain momentum. Because at the end of the day, the people around you quietly shape the direction of your life. If your circle constantly encourages distraction, comfort, or reckless spending, staying broke becomes almost automatic. But if your environment values growth, accountability, and smart decisions, building wealth becomes dramatically easier. Your friends may not control your future directly, but they absolutely influence the habits that create it. And sometimes the reason your bank account never changes is because the people around you don't actually want your life to change either. Thanks for watching today. If you found value in today's video, please subscribe. Without you, YouTube says I can't grow. So please subscribe. It would help out the channel tremendously right now. Also, down below, comment down below anything positive. I always respond to all positive comments. Also, check out this video to the right. It could also help you on your financial journey as well. Thank you. Have a good day. We'll see you guys on Monday.